man, I got a June bug in my grill.
So I just watched Inspector Gadget from 1999.
It's a Disney movie.
Now I have seen this movie once before when I was in my teens, and let me just tell you, I do not remember this movie being quite this bad. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of Inspector Gadget, he's kind of like RoboCop, but instead of there being a dark, moody theme and these existential questions of is he still a man or is he a machine, Inspector Gadget is more like, oh, he has maybe life-threatening injuries, let's take all his organs out and replace it with household items. At least that's what movie Inspector Gadget is like. I'm not sure about the cartoon. The reason I decided to rewatch this movie is that I was really wanting to watch a just silly, goofy movie like the kind that I saw a lot as a kid. And instead of this being more like The Cat in the Hat, a cult classic, this movie is just kind of bad. I want to appreciate it for its unseriousness and its silliness and its goofiness, but it's just kind of overshadowed by how bad this movie really is. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's just not good. The dialogue is not great in a lot of spots, and honestly I'm kind of hard-pressed to find anything to praise this movie for. And I think the biggest indication for me that this movie isn't great is that this movie is a comedy. And there's only one funny scene in the entire movie. I'll put it here.
Concentrate. Put all other things out of your head except obtaining the balls.
Now, to be fair, when I watched that when I was in my teens, that scene killed me. I died laughing. And honestly, I laughed again when I rewatched it. But it's a problem if you've got a comedy and that's your only laugh. The main villain of this movie is a character called Claw, and he has an accent that swaps from American to English throughout the movie. It just bounces back and forth. And that's probably due to the fact that they cast an English actor to play an American businessman who's meant to be snooty and snobby, and no offense, but all the things you'd expect to hear coming from an English accent typically in movies, and unfortunately it just doesn't end up working. They should have let Rupert Everett use his natural English accent. He's got a great accent. He plays Prince Charming in the Shrek series. He's got a great voice. They should have just stuck with that. Personally, I never really connected with any of the characters in this movie. Not any of the heroes, not Inspector Gadget himself or any of his, you know, sidekicks, I guess if you want to call them that, even though that's not really what they are, or any of the villains that you might feel a little bit sympathetic towards because they're, you know, in a toxic work environment or anything like that. I just don't connect with any of these characters. None of them reached out and grabbed me and just sucked me into this movie, and so I was just kind of, you know, there the whole time while the movie was playing. I think as the audience, you're supposed to connect with Inspector Gadget's like goofiness and his ineptitude and find those things endearing, but I just don't. It's just a little cringeworthy, to be honest. I was just kind of waiting for this scene to be over.
Dr. Bradford.
Yes?
Hi.
Hi.
I borrowed a book from your dad.
You did?
Power Learning Through Speed Study.
Oh.
Oh, it took me forever to get through it. But I really think it's going to pay off, though. I just applied to the Riverton Police Force.
Yeah?
It's what I've always wanted to do. Help people, that is.
I gotta...
She does not care. There were some redeeming things about watching this movie again. The first one being that the music of this movie is pretty good. I really enjoyed the Inspector Gadget theme song, and just the music in general in this movie I thought was pretty good. The other thing I enjoyed was a mid-credit scene starring Sykes and his bad haircut in sort of like a Henchman Anonymous situation where he was talking to other villain henchmen, and you get to see some iconic ones from some other franchises, so I thought that was cool. Oh yeah, and the balls joke. So that's 3 things I like about this movie. I know I said the dialogue of this movie is pretty bad in a lot of parts, but there is one particular line of dialogue that kind of took me by surprise, not because it's super profound or anything, but just because it's a good line, and a relatable line, and a true line, in a movie of lines that are just kind of bad, and so this was my favorite line.
Unfortunately, Gadget, in the real world, evil quite often prevails. Afraid so.
Something interesting that I learned after watching this movie when I was doing some extra research about it was that this movie, Inspector Gadget, dominated the Iron Giant at the box office, which I think is kind of crazy considering that this movie only made a little over 134 million. I just find it kind of interesting that this movie made a lot more money at the box office, and it's significantly worse than the Iron Giant. And this movie is all but forgotten these days. No one thinks about this movie, no one mentions it ever, but The Iron Giant has become a cult classic, a fan favorite, one of those childhood movies that people always talk about with love, and so I just find it interesting that The Iron Giant got beat out badly at the box office by this movie, but in the end, it's The Iron Giant who won. I almost forgot to mention a continuity error I found. See how Sykes is strapped into the machine? Now watch. Just wait. Just wait. Now, the strap is just off, which means that they cut or whatever, and now he's strapped back in. So they just didn't notice that when they were filming. But that's really all I've got to say about Inspector Gadget from 1999. It was a movie. You know, that's the best compliment I can give it. It was a movie. It's not one that I particularly enjoyed, and I probably won't ever watch it again. But like I always say about anything and everything, if you want to watch it for yourself and form an opinion on it yourself, I'll always recommend that. Not everything is for everybody. There is an audience for any kind of movie, and so this movie could be for you. If you want to check it out, I'd recommend forming your own opinion on these things, because not everything that I like, other people like. Not everything I dislike, other people dislike. That's just the way of the world, that's how the world runs. But yeah, let me know what you thought of Inspector Gadget if you saw it. Was this a movie that you watched growing up? Is this one that you didn't even know existed? Let me know down in the comments below. If you want to help me out here on YouTube, liking this video, commenting on this video, subscribing to the channel, or checking out some of my other videos, all help me grow the YouTube channel. You can ring that bell if you want to. You can check out my social media links in the description below if you'd like to. But yeah, until next time, bye.
Huh? Hello, Artemis. I'll take that.
No, wait. No. Not just a moment.
Arbiter check, Professor.